get a couple of very basic questions, sort of how you came to the story, how you met Lenore, how that process started.
I had a model agency in Israel many years ago, and Lenore was one of our models. When she came back from Milan after the rape, her mom called me and asked me to come to be with her because she didn't want to talk with anybody. And actually, after the trial, when Lenore spoke out on the Israeli television, many women came to her and told her that because of her, they spoke out. First time, they told their families, their friends, and I think that was the moment that Lenore and I decided that instead of those hundreds of women in Israel, we should do it worldwide. And we started 8 years ago, and until we found our angel, Cecilia Peck. We met her in Los Angeles, and she came with Inbal Lesner, which was Israeli, and it was very comfortable to Lenore and I to speak in Hebrew. And I think from that moment we started this journey, and that's what happened. We traveled all over the world, and that's how we started.
And if I can ask the subjects, obviously this is a very personal thing that happened, and it's something you didn't necessarily share with people before. So can you talk a little bit about what it's like to see it on screen, and how do you feel about sort of being part of this project?
Seeing it on film, it's kind of an out-of-body experience, very surreal. When I am talking about the rape and watching it on film, I feel kind of like a different woman. I go from being a little girl to being I feel really empowered, honestly. It's terrifying, but I feel strong and like I can do anything and like I can help people, and it's been an amazing experience. And I didn't know where it was going to go. But the healing that I've gone through has been just amazing. So I'm really thankful for this experience. So
I think that I feel very similar to what I think Lenore's mom said in the movie about sort of why are you doing this? Why are you bringing this thing up when you can just let it lie? And I think in the beginning I was excited to be part of the movie, but I also was sort of it really brought up the PTSD. I had a lot of flashbacks. I had a lot of problems being in it, and every time we did something with you guys, it was sort of awesome/terrible. But the balance between those two shifted, and I feel I went down to DC last night to introduce the movie because the actual people couldn't be there, and you
are the actual people.
Right. Right. And it was awesome, and I kicked ass, and I talked about it, and I told my story and everything. So it's just been a really good process.
I think for me, it's I didn't really remember my rape until I started having flashbacks in college. I had selective amnesia, is what I was diagnosed with, and then with PTSD. So once I started remembering it, I didn't really hide the fact, but I also wasn't terribly open because I found that it was actually hard for people to hear about it. It wasn't hard for me to talk about it, but I would see this sadness come over them, and I didn't want to do that to people that I loved and that I cared about. But since the movie, I've been a lot more vocal, especially in work situations. And so now, whereas before I would never have said anything to people I work with because I was like, well, that's my personal life and this is my work life, and it's two people. It's like, no, this is who I am, and it's something that's, shaped who I am. And not that I was ever ashamed, but it's now and I don't want to say proud, but I am proud because I am a survivor, and it's I think made me stronger in a lot of ways, but I feel stronger because I feel now that I have an even bigger support group. And it's been awesome meeting the other girls in the film. Jess and I have been friends for years, but now it's like, oh, I have like a whole new family, and it's just been absolutely wonderful.
Excellent.
Piggybacking off of what she said, I didn't expect it to go this far. And And then a year ago, was it a year ago? We got the first initial phone call that the movie was out. And since then, yeah. So since then, it's just been an amazing journey. It is a healing process. And you guys are my family. So
I kind of would love to ask Inval to talk about the structure of the film and how she figured out the balance between Lenore's story and the other survivors. Is that interesting? I would love to hear you just talk about that a little.
So, as you can tell, this was many hundreds of hours were shot in this film, and finding the right balance between telling Lenore's story, because in many test screenings that we did, people wanted to know more about Lenore and follow Lenore through. And I think that was news to Lenore herself. I think Lenore thought she was helping to tell stories of other people. I think she fooled us and herself that her story was not part of it anymore. She was healed, she was strong, she was going to take it on as an activist. And I don't think, I thought Moti knew more about behind the scenes with Lenore's emotional state, but it was a surprise to us that she was affected this way, that it was so hard on her, that she had to stop shooting for a while, she had to take a break from it. So finding the balance between telling that story of her emotional arc while doing this work and all the stories of the other women was quite a challenge. And at the end, some of these stories are reduced to really just one line, but hopefully that line represents a lot of many other stories. They reflect back on Lenore's story, when they talk about flashbacks or they talk about dealing with their sexuality because of the rape. Hopefully that gives you a window into what Lenore might be feeling or thinking. And so hopefully they all help tell the same story. And because we were so honored to have these women and all the other women share their stories with us and with Lenore, we do want to honor them and post longer versions or fuller versions of all these stories on our website. So go on bravemissworld.com, make sure to like and tweet and share while you're there. And we will be posting longer versions of all these stories for people to share and comment on.
He would like to know more about the spiritual transformation, and was it connected to the trauma, or was it some deeper thing, or was it a combination? What do you think?
I think we all might have our own interpretations, but we tried very hard for the film not to judge it at all. So, I'm so interested to hear how you perceived it. Anyone?
No, by the way, I can tell you, it makes Lenore is the happiest person today, and I think that's the most important. After all this journey, after all those years, to see that girl so happy today. So, please, we are not asking anything.
I think that the message of the film is anyone can be raped, men or women. It doesn't matter what you do, and so much I think of surviving and what we've gone through is you go through this period of, if I cut off my hair, if I wear this clothing, if I do this, if I do that. And I think what we need to stop thinking about is, what do I do to not get raped? We need to start thinking of, how do we teach people not to rape?
Guys, you saw a blind woman from Cleveland, okay? It's not about how, what you wear and how you look. It's we were in South Africa, we saw babies which we couldn't show, okay? So it's not about the look. It's about, controlling. It's different the issue that we didn't touch. We wanted to show the survivors and not about talking about.
And certainly Lenore's not making that point either, that would prevent rapes by being more modest.
No, but I think that's her path toward where she sought strength and support and her way of healing, and it will be different to everyone. But I think, if anything, the film suggests that it's ongoing, it's lifelong, but you can pick up the pieces, you can move forward with your life. It's not going to be easy. you can't pretend it's not there. That's the way Lenore chose to cope with it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your stories. We really appreciate you bringing it to DOC NYC. Thanks so much.